Welcome to the NWO Sports Podcast. Here's your host, Logan Bailey.
Welcome to the NWO Sports Podcast, football edition, brought to you by our primary sponsor, BSN Sports. I'm your host, Logan Bailey, and joined today by Keith Brown, Tony Fairchild, and AJ Fairchild producing in the back. So thanks again, guys, for joining me on the podcast.
Heck yeah.
Yes, sir.
Another week, and we're on to week 7, which it's crazy to think the regular season is almost over at this point. I was just thinking about that the other day. I'm like, man, it's so cliche, but I mean, once you start getting into the meat of the season, like games just continue to roll and roll and roll. And now, I mean, we're almost on to playoffs, which is crazy. So, pretty solid weather. You know, it's still surprisingly warm out.
I think it's supposed to be close to 80 this Friday for kickoff in the area.
Yeah.
I was like, are you kidding?
It was back in the 80s.
Word.
Yeah, and I
Very
can't
weird.
believe how warm it is this late in the season as well. But
Well, that's awesome.
got a lot of good things to talk about this podcast. Hot take section. It's got some good hot takes and good conversation pieces. And we got some good games to cover too, especially our game of the week from last week. So we'll get things rolling here. Some news and notes from the area. We just want to congratulate Napoleon running back George Eggers for tying the school career touchdown record with 35. So Eggers has been a beast over there at Napoleon, and we'll probably have a really good shot at obviously beating the record possibly this week or the following week. So congratulations to George Eggers from Napoleon. And one thing too I wanted to bring up, I had fans submit, and basically it was a bunch of pictures of Patrick Henry versus Liberty Center week, and there were so many reserved spots on the bleachers. There was blankets. I feel like pretty much the whole stadium was reserved already for Liberty Center. That people had their chairs laid out on the sidelines, and just incredible. And I'll attach those pictures here, but it was absolutely amazing. So we appreciate those being sent in. Again, that rivalry has gone a long time, but again, the last couple of years, Liberty Center has been pretty solid against PH. So that's another game we'll get into here shortly. Looking at last week's game prediction results, it was a great week from everyone in the crew. Everyone jumped up. Typically, I think most of us increased by a couple percent, so pretty solid picking. Matthew and myself, Logan, tied for first with 19-1 records. Second was a tie between Tony and AJ with 18-2 records, and last was Keith with a 17-3 record. And Keith kind of stretched out there a little bit, but still 17-3 is pretty solid though. But on the year, Matthew leads, and this is crazy. This is the best year I think by far for anyone that has ever had. 103-16, good for 87% picking. Logan, myself, is in second with a 119 record, good for 84%. Third is Keith with a 95-24 record, good for 80%. Fourth is Tony with a 91-28 record, good for 76%. And fifth is AJ with an 88-31 record, good for 74%. And with AJ, I will say he's a man of the people, so he's always picking striker no matter what. So whether they win or lose, he's always sticking with them. And, that may affect that record a little bit too. But he's definitely faithful to the striker faithful. All right. Let's get into the nitty-gritty of some Week 6 game recaps. In this first game, a lot of people are calling one of the greatest high school football games that they've ever seen, and that's why we picked it last week as the NWO Sports Game of the Week, and we're going to get into this game here. That's some GMC action. That's Fairview at Paulding. Paulding ended up winning this one 36-31, and this game was a nail-biter. At the half, Paulding was up 24-16. Total offense, Paulding had 363 yards with 303 passing, 60 rushing, and Fairview had 531 yards, 459 passing with 72 rushing. Turnovers for the game, Paulding had 1 interception, and Fairview had 5 turnovers with 3 interceptions and 2 fumbles. Just kind of a little fill-in for what basically went on at the last half of the game. If you didn't know, Fairview scored 14 fourth-quarter points to give them the lead at one point in the fourth. Fairview would go on to score because they got down because Paulding scored again. But Fairview would go on to score with 1:33 to go in the fourth on a 22-yard pass from Will Zedike to Jonathan Huffman to bring the Apaches down by 1. Big-time decision play call by Coach Doug Rakes. He decides he wants to go for 2, and they ended up converting on another Huffman reception from Zedike. So the risky move paid off and put Fairview up 1 late in the game. But this is the kicker. Paulding would get the football back, and they scored on a 54-yard pass from Colt Hunt to Jalen Mans on probably one of the most clutch catches and touchdowns I've ever seen in a high school game. I mean, Jalen Mans literally stumbles, sticks his hand in the ground, is able to keep his balance, and he darts off towards the end zone along the sideline for a touchdown that ended up winning the game. And that was with like 33 seconds left. So pretty incredible finish. And actually, we finished our broadcast at Tenor Rams Live at the Tenor Antwerp game, and we tuned into this game right away, and it was absolutely crazy. So let's look at some top players of note. from Paulding, wide receiver, and I guess you can call him outside linebacker. They move him all over the place because he is an absolute playmaker on defense as well. But this kid, phenomenal athlete, great performance, and that's Jalen Manns. 5 receptions, 143 receiving yards, 2 receiving touchdowns. He did have 11 rushing yards with 1 rushing touchdown. He also punts for him and averaged 36.2 yards a punt with 5 punts, 14 tackles, which led the team, 3 tackles for loss, had a forced fumble, 2 fumble recoveries as well. I mean, this kid does it all. I mean, he basically did everything and drove the bus this game. So pretty phenomenal from Jalen Manns. Wide receiver defensive back Blake Roanhouse, not too shabby of a performance from him. 5 receptions, 67 receiving yards. He had a receiving touchdown, 6 tackles, and 2 interceptions on defense. And like I told these guys, I think Blake Roanhouse is probably the best defensive back in the GMC and possibly one of the best in the entire area. Kid's an absolute ball hawk. Quarterback Colt Hunt, solid performance from him. 19 of 35, good for 54%. 303 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns with 1 interception. And then wide receiver defensive back, the brother of Jalen Manns, that's Jordan Manns. Again, terrific receiver, 6 receptions, 71 receiving yards, 12 tackles. He had 1 TFL and 1 interception as well. On the flip side, from the Fairview Apaches, quarterback Will Zedike, 34 of 60, good for 57%, 459 passing yards with 4 passing touchdowns. He did have 3 interceptions and also had 14 carries for 23 rushing yards. Wide receiver Brody Williams really stepped up this game. 5 receptions, 104 receiving yards, 1 receiving touchdown. Running back Drayden Grinnell Dennis, 8 carries, 42 rushing yards, 3 receptions, 30 receiving yards, and 2 receiving touchdowns. And wide receiver Jonathan Huffman, 2 receptions, 25 receiving yards. He had 1 receiving touchdown. He also had that 2-point conversion to put Fairview up late. And he had an interception on defense. And again, this is a kid to keep your eye out on. One of the most underrated players in all of the conference. I mean, this kid has really impressed the last couple of weeks, makes big-time plays. He may not always get the sample size that, some of the other players get, but when his opportunity is called on, he converts and he makes some big plays. So, guys, thoughts on this big GMC matchup? I mean, this could end up, basically determining the winner of the GMC between Fairview and Paulding.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, like you said, we turned it over and watched the end of it, and Fairview took the lead. We're like, oh man, Paulding had it the whole way, and they're going to give it away. And then next thing you know, like, what? They score, So it was just kind of one of those crazy endings to a game, and and that's what you're there for. Nobody left their seats. I can tell you that. That was one of those games. But with the 5 turnovers from Fairview, you just can't have that in a game like this. When you're playing a team like Paulding is tough. They're going to battle you. Turn the ball over 5 times is tough.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough I got home writing our post-game article for us on Snow Rams Live, flipped onto My Sports Live and watched this. I watched this up until I think at 2:30 in the morning is when I finally went to bed because I couldn't get my eyes off the TV. I'm going on 22 hours of being awake, and I could not stop watching this game. This game had everything, the highs, the lows. The crowd was fantastic. People standing end to end, both sides. Paulding would pull away by a couple scores, and Fairview would come right back. Heck of a fourth quarter by Fairview to get back in the game, but talk about Jonathan Huffman. I mean, what a reception to get the Apaches within 1 right at the end there. Basically outmossed one of the Paulding defenders. He really leaped over him to catch it. Paulding, just when you think, wow, here we go. They come up with the drive of the program. Really, they needed that. I mean, this was the game they absolutely needed to win to prove everybody wrong. But Manns, what can you say? What can you say about them? And that ball was almost interception. How he caught it is beyond me. Because if you have a defender flash in front of you like that, sometimes you lose concentration.
Right.
Like it's going to hit your hands, but it's going to deflect to the right or left or hit your shoulder pads just because your view was slightly obstructed. But he did a fantastic job of concentrating on that ball. It was a 3rd down and 10, I believe, with 50 seconds to go.
So.
And stumbled a couple times, kept his balance, and what an amazing play by him. I mean, he's just a true warrior, offensively, defensively. I don't think there's anybody better in the conference, really. So.
What do you think about Rakes going for 2 in that situation?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Jeez,
on the road.
Oh my gosh,
basically.
I'm not sure what's going through your head in that situation. Being a coach myself, I'm just kind of like, man, I don't know. That's one of those you're really just like, if you take it into overtime, if you go to tie it, does Paulding try so hard to score? I'm sure they do, right? But does that change the outcome? And then they end up going, then they go into overtime. So it could have changed how things played.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just one of those things. But they went for 2. They made it.
I mean, I think you could go either way. I mean, because they scored 14 fourth quarter points.
Yeah.
I mean, they had all the momentum going,
Right.
and they drove down the field fairly easily, and were able to punch it in for a touchdown with that Huffman reception from Zedike. But man, I would hate to be in that situation to make that call. I mean, my heart would be racing.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you do?
You make the call and you don't make it. Well, now you look like the heel.
Yeah.
Right?
And you have a pretty good kicker. Like we saw Vandermeer, kick that long field goal against Tenora, and he's pretty consistent. So, if you send him out there, you pretty much guarantee a tie.
Yeah.
And that's a good point, Tony.
That's a common theme we're seeing this year is teams going for 2.
Right.
When it's really not do or die at that point. I mean, but everyone's electing to go for 2 points and they want the win now. Like they don't want to. It seems like no one wants to play for overtime anymore. I mean, everyone wants to settle it in regulation. They don't want to go that extra length, but which is crazy. I feel like back in the day, you used to see a fair amount of overtime games. Really anymore, with everyone going for 2, it's very rare that you see an overtime game in high school football in this area.
I would assume that's a conversation he had with the staff and the boys beforehand. Here's an exhibit A. What shall we do? And obviously, I don't think they wasted any time. They just, hey, we're going for 2, but give Paulding credit. I mean that they needed this win to for the program and all the naysayers and just to kind of everybody for a week or so.
Yeah, and I just want to say too, for all the people blowing grief about us covering Paulding or media covering Paulding, I just want to clarify that from the very beginning, we said Paulding is a good team, but until they beat a quality opponent, which they did,
right,
then they'll get respect. And by far, they have our respect because Fairview's a solid team, and we knew Paulding had a solid team. It's just, could they confirm that playing a decent opponent? And again, like I said, I mean, Paulding is a tough-nosed team. So.
And we've been giving Paulding his credit, which kind of drives me crazy a little bit. I mean, we haven't dissed anything about Paulding, really.
I mean, all we said is the week schedule.
We've been talking about Roan
we've talked about it week after week after week, and nothing but
it's all
so
fun.
It's fun. Though, it's pretty good. The banner's great.
But love it. And then I just have with this game one last talking point. Thing that kind of shocked me was the 5 turnovers from Fairview. Very uncharacteristic, but the fact that they were still in this ball game and then they had 5 turnovers and the turnover ratio was 5-1.
Yeah.
And a couple questions for me. How was Fairview still in this game? But on the flip side, how does Paulding not take advantage of all those turnovers with points? And that's kind of the big question I had, because when your margin's that big, I mean, usually you don't see games very tight. I mean, if I would have looked at this game without looking at the score and I saw Fairview had 5 turnovers and Paulding had 1, I would have guessed that Paulding won probably 2-3 scores. But this game was kept tight. But I mean, you never know. I mean, these are two really, really good teams going at it, so anything can happen, especially when you run, spread offenses like these teams do. And, I mean, you can score at will, and pretty solid performances out of both teams. Yeah. But that was just kind of one question I had.
AJ and I kind of AJ compared Paulding to kind of like Penn State.
Yeah.
They really are, right? They're a great team. They're really good, but they can't beat Ohio State. They can't beat Michigan. So you can't beat the big dogs, so you don't get the respect you deserve.
Until every now and then, and they did this year.
Yeah. So now you're going to get the respect you deserve for a little while, and hopefully they can keep it going and get into playoffs and make a deep playoff run, maybe, and really bring some pride to Paulding.
All right, let's move on to the next game. Another rivalry matchup, and this is Patrick Henry at Liberty Center. Liberty Center ended up winning this game 35-6. At the half, Liberty Center was up 20-0. Total offense, Liberty Center had 264 passing yards with 77 rushing. Patrick Henry had 221 yards, -7 rushing with 228 passing. Turnovers, Liberty Center had 0. Patrick Henry had 2 interceptions. Some top players from Liberty Center, running back linebacker Garrison Cruz continues to perform week in and week out. And I think it's just unbelievable because, when you compare him to other running backs in the area, I mean, really does not have very many carries at all. But, I mean, again, this game, he had 99 rushing yards on 14 carries, still averaging 7.1 yards per carry against a very good defensive line and front 7 from Patrick Henry. 3 rushing touchdowns. He also had 128-yard touchdown reception, 4 total touchdowns for the game. And, why not on the defensive side? You add in 10 tackles, which led the team as well. Running back linebacker Thomas Moeller, great performance out of him. 11 carries, 82 rushing yards, 7.5 yards per carry, and 1 interception on defense. So again, one of the best 1-2 punches at running back in the entire area. And quarterback Caden Kreinbrink continues to be very efficient back there under center. 5 of 11, 45%, 65 passing yards with 1 passing touchdown. Some top players from Patrick Henry. Quarterback Tristan Rosebrook, 25 of 37, good for 68%, 228 passing yards. He did have 2 interceptions, and this stat was pretty crazy, which tells me that Liberty Center was putting pressure on him. 6 rushes for negative 29 rushing yards. Wide receiver Kiefer Holloway, 9 receptions, 99 receiving yards. Wide receiver Grant Schwab, 6 receptions, 50 receiving yards. And running back Cal Schrader, 7 carries, 21 rushing yards, and 1 rushing touchdown. And I do believe this game, Patrick Henry is without their top wide receiver in Reed Krieger, which, that I'm sure made a big difference as well. If your top target out there, out wide, is missing from the game. So, guys, thoughts on this big NWOAL matchup between Patrick Henry and Liberty Center?
For me, I don't think the final score as much as a surprise to me. I think myself and us here and everybody probably thought that, this is probably what the final score would be, close, or maybe even Liberty Center, tack on a few more points. But the yardage is pretty much even. I mean, Liberty Center offense only had 264 total yards and 77 yards rushing once you take out the sack yards and whatnot. And Patrick Henry, minus 7 yards rushing as a team. That's the Liberty Center defense came to play. But you see Rosebrook's offensive numbers, 25 and 37, 228. That may show some teams down the run here that play against LC that maybe their pass defense may be a little suspect back there. They really haven't been tested this year, honestly.
And I think that was the big question this year. They lost a couple key pieces from last year. Cam Colley,
right.
Trying to think of the other one. Grady, I can't think of his last name right now. Played quarterback and defensive back for them.
Oh, Grady Miller.
Grady Miller. 2 All-Ohio type kids. Yep. So those are big keys missing from that defensive backfield. So Liberty Centers continue to work on that too, but that's been a big question for a lot of them. I don't obviously, people don't worry too much about the run defense because they've got some hogs up there in the front 7 and some solid linebackers and Moeller and Cruz. But the big question is that back half. But still, very solid performance out of Liberty Center, and they just continue to dominate, everyone in the area.
Yeah, I mean, like even you said, you got Hall of Fame coach and Bill Inselman. He's not going to give up this game. So it showed right here, final scores. But you look at all the other numbers, and they're pretty close. So
you look at Garrison Cruz. It just I'm sure he played a lot more of this game than he has in the past games because of the score. But he still only had 14 carries, but he had 14 carries, but he scored three times out of that 14. It's just the guy's a beast. He's a scoring machine and doesn't get very many carries, but he's putting points on the board and he's getting a lot of chunks of yardage at each time. So between him and Moeller, they're averaging over 7 yards a carry.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty easy to get first downs when you're averaging 7 yards a carry.
Right. And just a couple more talking points that I had is some people were saying too with, obviously we know Patrick Henry has an athlete in Grant Smith. He's been playing offensive line in the past. Even last year, he got some carries at running back, main position, defensive end, tears things up there. But a lot of people are wondering too, with a player that talented, do you put him in a skilled position? Do you try to throw him back there at running back to get the ball in his hands a little bit more? Do you throw him back at tight end, a big target for Rosebrook to throw to? Mm-hmm. That's just kind of a question too that, some people brought up. And I don't know necessarily what the right or wrong answer is because, he's going to contribute wherever he is on the field. But, where can you make the most out of his talent and his athleticism?
I'm going to guess they probably work on this stuff in practice. And then with Coach I, like we said, he's not going to show too much of anything that he doesn't have to. So I assume once Patrick Henry gets into the playoffs, and if they do make a deep run, probably even week 1 or 2, I would assume you're going to see Grant Smith on both sides of the ball playing a lot.
He's been playing, I believe, offensive line, and then the one game, I think he did play some tight end, but primarily offensive line.
Like a ball carrier or receiver type player. Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
But first and foremost, he's always going to play defensive line because that's his bread and butter.
Absolutely.
And, one of the all-time sack leaders in all of Northwest Ohio. So just something curious to think about. I had a couple people reach out to me and talk about that. But and the other thing was, too, I know there was some talk at the beginning of the season about who's got the best O-line and D-line in the area, and I know it was between Liberty Center. Patrick Henry was thrown in there, and I think Liberty Center just solidified that a little bit this week. the guy's got to go mano a mano. And, you saw the rushing stats for Patrick Henry. I mean, Patrick Henry's a solid team, but, that Liberty Center defensive front is tough as nails.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next game. Looking at some NLL action, and that's Southview at Napoleon. And Napoleon ended up winning 42-8. This was our NWO Sports Radio game of the week, and the replay can be heard on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. But at the half of this one, Napoleon jumped up to an early lead, 35-0. Total offense, Napoleon had 356 yards with 319 rushing. They had 37 passing. Southview had 204 yards, 173 passing, 31 rushing. Turnovers for the game, Napoleon was crisp and clean, 0 turnovers. Southview had 1 interception. Some top players from Napoleon, running back Hayden Grohl, very, very solid performance week in and week out. This kid has probably been one of the, probably my number one player, I think, in Northwest Ohio that's really stepped up. Maybe people, always been a good athlete, but maybe is outdoing what people had thought of him. I just can't commend him enough for his efforts that he's doing running the football. 11 carries, 158 rushing yards, 14.4 yards per carry with 2 rushing touchdowns. Another terrific week from Hayden Grohl. Running back George Eggers is back. I thought I heard something. He was maybe around 80% or so. So he's still coming back from that injury. 18 carries, 135 rushing yards, good for 7.3 yards per carry. Still really solid. 3 rushing touchdowns to end up tying again, like we said earlier in the podcast, for that career career touchdown record for Napoleon. Quarterback Kelby Parsons, 4 of 6, 37 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown. Wide receiver Paul Saucer had 1 receiving touchdown. And then from Southview, running back Mo MacArthur, 12 carries, 43 rushing yards with 1 rushing touchdown. And quarterback Jackson Hesse, 19 of 27, 173 passing yards with 1 interception. So, guys, thoughts on the Southview at Napoleon game? And, guys, I just want to say right now, Napoleon's one of the hottest teams in the area. They're playing some really good football.
Yeah, they're looking really good, and they're kind of similar to last year, coming down the stretch. They just started picking up speed, and to put the whipping on Southview, jump up on them like that at halftime is awesome. Just sets the tone.
I mean, we've talked about Napoleon for about the last month, I think.
Yeah.
Say, hey, look out for Napoleon. The train's just getting started. Look, week 1, lost to Defiance by 1, 20-19. I'm sure if Coach had to do that 2-point conversion over again, he would have chosen a different play. 1 week 2, then week 3, they lost to Anthony Wayne 7-0.
I think there was a 1 possession or 1 score game.
So, 9 points, and Napoleon could be undefeated right now, really. So, and that 2-point conversion against Defiance wasn't that the last play of the game? I believe. There's a couple seconds left, but
there was, I think, about maybe like 15 or 20 seconds left.
So that, and maybe you play a very good Anthony Wayne team right down to the final whistle.
Yeah.
And now, as you talked about, Logan, like Hayden Grohl, I don't think anybody had him like on their big board, for players to look out for or anything, because you had the all-state running back Eggers. You're going to figure he's going to get the ball with all the graduations for Napoleon 30 times a game, and then he winds up with a preseason injury. And then Hayden Grohl has basically stepped into Eggers' shoes and done George Eggers things. And then Eggers comes back. So now you have a 2-headed monster.
Right. Yeah.
And that's great over there for Napoleon. I mean,
and I'm just looking right now, too. And Anthony Wayne, a Division II team, they sit at 4-2 right now. Napoleon lost 7-0.
Mm-hmm.
But they've got some solid wins. A 21-14 win against Maumee week 2. 23-15 win against a 3-3 Clay team that, their quarterback is getting some big-time Division I looks. Yep. The last 2 weeks, Northview and Southview have not been the greatest, but, Napoleon went out there and dominated like, they should have. But Napoleon sits number 6 right now in the rankings for Division IV Region 14. So good position right now, looking for playoffs. And, they're really tearing things up. And, like you said, too, I think Hayden Grohl has just kind of flown underneath everyone's radar. And, the talk coming into the season was definitely Eggers because he had a terrific season last year. But I think Napoleon's really found their identity, and that's running the rock. Last year they could open things up a little bit.
Got Owen Espinoza back there.
Espinoza back at quarterback, and Trey Rubenstein and Parker Woods. They had a lot of skilled players. I think I kind of spread the field out a little bit, but I think they really found where their bread and butter's at, and that's running the football. They can throw the ball a little bit with Kelby Parsons to some of the receivers and be efficient with it. I really like the way Napoleon and Coach Sweary's team's playing right now. I
agree.
Next game, we're looking at Evergreen at Bryan, and this was a shootout. Evergreen ended up winning 41-38. At the half, Evergreen was up 21-17. Total offense from Evergreen, 337 yards with 181 passing and 156 rushing. Bryan had 455 yards of total offense, 268 yards with 187 rushing. Turnovers for the game, Evergreen had 2 with 1 interception, 1 fumble, and Bryan had 2 with 2 fumbles. Some top players from Evergreen: quarterback Bryce Bolger, 8 of 11, 73%, 181 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns. He did have 1 interception, and he also contributed 1 rushing touchdown. Running back Quentin Eisel. This kid, terrific performance. 18 carries, 131 rushing yards. He also had 2 rushing touchdowns. He throws in 5 receptions for 99 receiving yards, adds in a receiving touchdown, and, that wasn't good enough for him. So he's going to throw in a 60-yard kickoff return for a touchdown, good for 4 touchdowns in the entire game. So what a performance by Quentin. And wide receiver Will Reitz, 2 receptions, 66 receiving yards, and 1 receiving touchdown. Another athletic player on the outside for Bolger to get the ball to. Some top players from Bryan: quarterback defensive back Jake Arnold. Very solid performance out of him. 15 of 21, good for 71%. 251 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns. Had 83 rushing yards with 1 rushing touchdown. Good for 4 total touchdowns for the game. And on defense, he had 1 interception. Wide receiver Anthony Weber, 5 catches, 66 receiving yards, 2 receiving touchdowns. And running back Cade Carlin, 71 rushing yards, 1 rushing touchdown. So a lot of offense in this game, not so much defense, but, thoughts on this matchup here. Evergreen still stays at 1 loss too after a big time win.
Yep. I mean, for me, it's positives on both sides. Evergreen put up 41 points, gave up 38, however, but a good bounce back win for Evergreen. Again, Bryce Bolger, there's our man we've been talking about for forever. A very quality game by Bryce, and as you said, Logan, Quentin Eisel, he's one of those kids, again, was probably overlooked at the start of the year, and probably top 5, top 6 player in the NWOAL. Kind of a come out game for Jake Arnold. I mean, 251 yards and 3 scores. I think this is the most points Bryan scored all season.
I think so.
So, I mean, this could put hopefully Bryan on maybe a little bit of positive for them. Hey, we took one of the better teams, at least a top 3 or 4 team in the conference, right down to the final whistle. So hopefully give Bryan a little bit of confidence moving forward.
Yeah, Bryan, I mean, they're looking at their schedule. They scored 7 points basically in every game except for 2. The win against Bowling Green, and then that's Friday night. So that's good for them to put some points on the board. Yeah, that was a positive for sure. But Bryan's struggling a little bit. They got their schedule eases up a little bit. They got Swanton and Wassey on, and then they go play Archbold and Delta. But so they should be able to have a good night this Friday night.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. These next 2 weeks, it's a must-win for Bryan's program. You've got 1 win. You're trying to continue to improve upon the program. Last couple of years have been kind of down, but if you're trying to rebuild, it's a must-win. Between this week and next week, you got to come away with 1, if not 2 wins. Yep. 2 wins would be terrific for the Golden Bears. So let's move on to the next game. And guys, we finally have some Eden stats after all year. We've been trying to get back on them and figured out why it wasn't coming through or we weren't getting the stats, but not too detailed, but we do have some. And that's Ottawa Hills at Eden, and Eden came away with this win 34-12. Eden had 323 total yards for the game, 205 passing with 118 rushing. Some top players from Eden: quarterback Briggs Gallahue, 19 of 38, good for 50%, 186 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns. He also had 23 rushing yards and 1 rushing touchdown. Wide receiver Eli Dickman, 5 receptions, 70 receiving yards, 1 receiving touchdown. And wide receivers Parker Moyer and Gage Nestor each had a receiving touchdown apiece. On the defensive side, linebacker Corbin Olds led the team with 13 tackles and had 3 tackles for loss as well as 3 hurries. So, guys, thoughts on the Ottawa Hills at Eden game? And, Eden, again, is another team that only has 1 loss on the season. They sit at 5-1. So, looking in pretty good shape here past the halfway point.
Yeah, they're looking good. I'm glad to see we finally get some stats. But, their only loss coming to Edgerton at the beginning of the season, the very first game. And I think Eden is still setting really good. I think, if they can win this out. They got a tough game this weekend against Whiteford, but after that, should be able to take care of business, I'm thinking.
Yeah, and Eden currently sits number 7 in the points ranking for Division 7, Region 26. So, if they keep winning out and winning ball games, they're going to put themselves in a good position to, possibly have home field advantage if they can get in that top half of those of the rankings as well. So,
yeah, Eden, probably the most quietest 5-1 team we've had this year, and maybe in previous years as well. They lost their opening game to Edgerton, and ever since then, they haven't looked back. The offense is finally clicking. Defense still allowing a little more points, I think, than you would like. And as you guys said, other than the game coming up this week here, Eden could be a 9-1, 8-2 team by come playoff time. So.
In which they had to replace a lot of skilled players this year. They lost quarterback Kyler Sapp, Cohen Halbert, a couple other top receivers, but a guy that wasn't listed on this game, Kendall Briggle, a wide receiver for them, is one of the top receivers in the area as well. So Eden continues to play some good football, and they could put themselves in a very good position to maybe win some games deep in the playoffs if things align for them.
Whiteford's really the only competition they have other than Montpelier at the last game. But I'm looking back through the schedule, and we were giving Pauling a bunch of grief. Eden does not really play anybody.
Right.
Edgerton was the only game they played. They got Antwerp, Hicksville, Summerfield, Erie Mason, Ottawa Hills, and then they play Whiteford this week. Then it's North Central Hilltop.
Yep.
It's schedule pretty weak.
And it's hard for us with the adding all those Michigan teams to the conference. Like you don't really follow them. You don't hear too much about them. But Eden's playing well. So.
All right, well, that concludes our game recaps. We're going to take a break to hear from our sponsors. We'll be right back with Play of the Week, sponsored by Titan Sports. DSN Sports is your go-to business for purchasing uniforms, equipment, spiritwear, and anything else your athletic program needs, giving you more time to impact lives on the field. With over 1,200 sales professionals who live, work, and serve in your community, you're always just a short drive or phone call away. Be sure to give your local sales rep and Jim Garris a call for any of your athletic supply needs. Looking for a personalized financial guidance right here in Bryan, Ohio? Meet Melissa R. Stockman, CHFC, a trusted Edward Jones financial advisor. Melissa specializes in retirement savings and income strategies, estate and legacy planning, customizable wealth strategies, insurance and annuities, and support for entrepreneurs and business owners. As a chartered financial consultant, she brings deep expertise and care in building financial plans tailored to your goals. Ready to take your next financial step? Call Melissa's office at 419-633-0647 or visit Edward Jones on 130 North Main Street, Bryan, to get started. Titan GPS delivers technological superiority and improved player performance through wearable GPS made for high school football and strength and conditioning programs. From speed training to athlete recruit to workload enhancement, Titan is the easy-to-use yet comprehensive GPS tool to get it done. There's no minimum to get started, and Titan will walk you through every step to success. Message us on X Titan Sensor to learn more and get in touch. DeLarber Concrete and Hauling is your go-to provider for concrete and hauling needs. Flat work, pole barn floors, driveways, and patios. Hauling services for stone, mulch, and dirt. Call Josh for your free estimate at 419-576-0401. Fitzenreiter HVAC, keeping Northwest Ohio comfortable since 1955. Whether it's scorching summer heat or bitter winter cold, Fitzenreiter has your back with expert heating, cooling, and indoor air quality solutions for your residential and commercial needs. Need fast, reliable service? Call the local pros you can trust. Fitzenreiter HVAC. Give them a call today at 419-784-0828 or visit fitzenreiterhvac.com for more info. Northwest Ohio Basketball hosts premier basketball tournaments for boys in grades 3 to 8 in the area. Upcoming tournaments are right around the corner. Give them a call today at 419-283-5296 or check out their website at NWOBball.com. We're back on the NWO Sports Podcast, and we are on to Play of the Week, sponsored by Titan Sports. So be sure to submit your play each week. I usually make a post on social media, and then fans, players, coaches can all send those in and can share them with fans, players, coaches, even colleges, tune into our podcast sometimes. So, but we like to thank Titan Sports for sponsoring this segment. Titan Sports offers revolutionary wearable GPS technology for high school football and strength and conditioning programs, giving you all the metrics to get the most out of your athlete. And this week, a lot of plays sent in this week were actually sent in. So let's take a look at some of the great honorable mention plays from Northwest Ohio.
Go. Let's go.
Just outside that red zone at the 22-yard line.
Empty set, Zedike, pump fake, launches, looking, end zone.
Yes, he
Caught
did.
for the touchdown by Huffman. Wow. Able to get past two defenders. He had the
Here in quarter number 4, Rogie with the snap and the shotgun fires it over the middle. Intercepted by Parker Hancock, his second. Hancock at the 30, 25, 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, Parker Hancock.
Pick 6, baby.
Hancock takes it back for the Rams. Touchdown.
As I always say, there can only be one. And this week, Titan Sports Play of the Week is going to the Paulding Panthers and a 54-yard pass and catch from Colt Hunt to Jalen Mans. This catch was absolutely phenomenal. How Mans came up with it, Keith said too, with the contest of the defense and to focus and make the catch. And not only that, he sticks his hand in the ground, is able to keep his balance, finishes strong, and just darts off and shows off that track speed. Goes down the sideline and scores for a touchdown to end up sealing the game for the Paulding Panthers. And, maybe one of the biggest wins in program history, or at least in the last probably 20 years for the Panthers. So
and just imagine, guys, all the adrenaline going through his head as he makes that catch, realizing everything that's on the line.
Yep.
Like, I can't imagine.
And turns and sees nothing but green grass.
18-year-old kid, just so much emotion.
But check that play out right now.
Paulding out of timeouts. Three receivers at the bottom of your screen, one at the top. Hunt to pass. Rolls out, looks, throws, and it's caught! Caught by Jalen Mans, still on his feet! Jalen Mans headed to the end zone! Touchdown, Paulding!
As we were saying, that catch was unbelievable. Tony, what were you saying about the catch?
Oh, it just he turns around and after he makes the catch and turns around and he sees nothing but green grass.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh, I could score and just takes off. So I mean, like Keith said, your emotions are high, everything's going on. You turn around and you've got nobody in front of you to score and take the lead in the game, and like you said, seal the deal. So
but it's just awesome to see, a good sized crowd. To see the emotion of the crowd. I mean, especially in that fourth quarter, back and forth, back and forth. The highs, the lows. There's so much riding on this game, and just awesome to see Paulding win it on a play like this. So congratulations to Jalen Mans, and nice throw from Colt Hunt to end up winning the game and putting Paulding in first place in the GMC. So congrats to Jalen Mans. All right, guys. We are on to Player of the Week from Week 6, and we got a good list of some players and some top performances from Northwest Ohio. And we thank BSN Sports for sponsoring this segment. I'm going to go through the list. We'll list everyone who made the finals, and then these guys will kind of talk about someone who was catching their eye, who maybe had potential for being Player of the Week, and then I'll finally release the actual BSN Sports Player of the Week. So let's get the list rolling. Paulding wide receiver outside linebacker Jalen Mans. Paulding wide receiver defensive back Blake Roanhouse. Liberty Center running back linebacker Garrison Cruz. Napoleon running back Hayden Grohl. Evergreen running back Quentin Eisel, Bryan quarterback defensive back Jake Arnold, Wayne Trace quarterback Carter Clemens, Edgerton quarterback Maddox Baker, Edgerton wide receiver Kellen Sanchez, Columbus Grove quarterback Landon Best, Columbus Grove wide receiver Trenton Baxter, Hilltop running back Scott Bowers. So guys, who's maybe a player that you thought was in contention for Player of the Week?
Guys, I went with Evergreen's Quentin Eisel. It seems like every week we talk about this kid, and every week his numbers get better, and better. And if you saw this week, Mr. Do It All. So Quentin Eisel for me.
Yeah. For me, it's last year Landon Best was injured and kind of taken out of the game. Nice to see him coming back, threw for 65% and 6 total touchdowns. Just a great performance overall.
Yeah, and I think that's a common theme we saw this week is, players getting it done on both sides of the ball or, all three aspects of the game, offense, defense, and special teams. But this week, again, I think it was kind of a no-brainer. We had a quick conversation, but, when your performance ends up, you're contributing to the game-winning touchdown, you get the job done, offense, defense, special teams. You do everything for your team. That's very deserving of Player of the Week. And this week, it's going to go to Paulding wide receiver, outside linebacker, Jalen Mans. Again, 5 receptions, 143 receiving yards, 2 receiving touchdowns, a rushing touchdown. He punted the ball for 36.2 yards a punt, 14 tackles led the team, 3 TFLs, 1 forced fumble, 2 fumble recoveries, and the game-winning touchdown as well. Again, this kid did everything, drove the bus. Unbelievable performance. And again, this kid's stock is continuing to rise in Northwest Ohio. So, if you're a college, looking for some, players flying under the radar, definitely look into him. His brother's also solid, Blake Roanhouse too. They got a good quarterback, but Jalen Mans is really stepping up the last couple of weeks. And, I don't know how teams are going to prepare for him in the future, but Jalen Mans is going to be the BSN Sports Player of the Week from Week 6. Congratulations to him. With that, too, Player of the Week will receive NWO Sports gear courtesy of BSN Sports. So we just want to thank sales rep Jim Garris and Rob Held for being great supporters of our coverage for athletics in Northwest Ohio. All right, guys. Moment of truth. This gets a lot of talk about, and that's Week 7 power rankings. I kid you not. This was the hottest talk over the weekend. And
about the last couple of weeks.
Weeks, but this week
was
pretty
over
hot.
The top.
So one of the teams, which we were just talking about, a team from the GMC, we'll see how they end up fitting into no names mentioned right now. We'll save it for a little bit, but trying to find out where they fit in this puzzle. So like we always do, we're going to start with number 26, and these are all the teams that we cover in Northwest Ohio, regardless of division, and we rank them. Again, for those who are maybe new to this, it's based on obviously wins and losses, but, quality wins, quality of losses, strength of schedule. And we kind of always look at too, if the team's ranked higher, that typically we view it as they could beat the team that's ranked lower than them. So, just because a team may have 0 losses, but they're a bigger school, they could still have a good opportunity to beat up on some smaller schools that maybe have some more wins. So just kind of our little piece of rationale of how I rank these. So guys, let's get things started. Number 26 is Swanton, 25 North Central, 24 Hilltop, 23 Hicksville, 22 Antwerp, 21 Ayersville, number 20 Wayne Trace. Thoughts on this group here?
Good. Although I think Wayne Trace is going to creep up here halfway through, guys. I think another week or two, we'll see Wayne Trace probably in the top 15.
They'll have a good test this week, tomorrow.
Yeah.
Number 19, Montpelier. Number 18, Bryan. Number 17, Wauseon. Number 16, Ottawa Glandorf. Number 15, Eden.
Yeah. Edgerton beat Eden, so that's accurate to me.
Yep. Number 14, Edgerton. Number 13, Tenora. Number 12, Evergreen. Number 11, Defiance, and we'll save the top 10.
Yeah.
Yep.
Evergreen may be ahead of Defiance here. I don't know.
All right. This is where it starts getting some drama. Let's just say that. Number 10, Columbus Grove. Number 9, Delta. Number 8, Van Wert. Number 7, Lipsick. Number 6, Fairview. We'll save the top 5.
Yeah, looks good. I think Fairview's got a couple key games coming up, and so does Lipsick. So that'll take care of itself in a week or two.
Columbus Grove is the one that's I keep my eye on. They're playing well.
Yep.
So.
And I know this part of the season, they're 3-3 at this point. They played a tough non-conference schedule. Columbus Grove's got a lot of good athletes, and this is one of the teams that people have given a lot of grief to us for is where we're placing them.
Yep.
I don't think a lot of outsiders know, truly the potential of this ball club.
Right.
And they may earlier in the season see an 0-3 record, but they don't see how tough they played a PH team, and They played a really, really, really good Liberty Benton team, and a Pandora Gilboa team that's really solid. That, you know, honestly, you could say that they should have won. You know, Pandora Gilboa came back late in the second half to win that one.
And they got 3 really tough games coming up, Logan.
They do.
So Crestview, LCC, and then Bluffton.
And that's really going to prove, you know, how good this Columbus Grove team is this season. But yeah, you know, Fairview obviously drops a little bit here because, you know, the loss to Paulding, but Fairview's still really good. Lipsick 6-0, but again, played kind of an easier strength of schedule, but they've got some tougher games coming up. But I know the big question right now is, well, I'll announce it, but Napoleon's going to be number 5. People are going to say, well, Defiance beat Napoleon. Well, at this point in the season, I think the teams are trending in kind of 2 different directions. Napoleon's playing some really good football. You know, Defiance is struggling a little bit. So, you know, I think it's very well justified, especially Napoleon's got some quality wins over some good opponents, like we said, in Clay, and they play Anthony Wayne really tough. Defiance has had a couple blowouts, you know, on you know, the not good end of things. So, you know, I think it's very well justified at this point. You know, even though Defiance won the head-to-head, Napoleon's, you know, tracking in a different direction in the season. So, number 5 is Napoleon. Number 4, the big one, Paulding. They jumped from 11 to 4. 3, Patrick Henry. 2, Archbold, and 1, Liberty Center. So, guys, thoughts on the top 5?
You know, we've said it all along that Paulding will get respect when they play somebody and beat somebody good, and they knocked off Fairview, and you know, that's a big jump. But you know, let's see what they do with it.
Yeah, and I know, you know, maybe some Paulding faithful will complain, you know, we beat Fairview, they were ranked 3 last week, but, you know, maybe we should be number 2. I still don't know yet. They got a good win against Fairview, but let's pump the brakes a little bit because Archbold we saw play against Sonora. Archbold's a very complete team. They're also very, very deep on the roster. I think they have about 70 kids. They actually have more kids, I think, on their roster than Liberty Center does.
So pretty close.
And like I said, they may have the best shot at, you know, competing with the big dog in Liberty Center. Patrick Henry is still a very, very good team. You know, they went out there last week and played Liberty Center tough. But I'm not so sure that, you know, if Paulding matches up head-to-head with Patrick Henry or Archbold that they would win. But, you know, that could change. You know, down the stretch, if Paulding has some good performances, they could very well bump up too.
I mean, if Paulding thumps Edgerton this weekend, that could bump them up some more.
All right. Well, that concludes our Week 7 power rankings. We are on to the hot takes after this short break, sponsored by BSN Sports. So stay tuned.
Under the lights this Friday night. While your team is taking hits on the field, who's got your back off the field? At Batt & Stevens Body Shop in Defiance, we tackle the toughest repairs, from fender benders to full collision restoration. Our iCar Gold Class team scores big on quality and service. Proudly serving Defiance County for over 40 years, with certified technicians, advanced diagnostics, and lifetime warranties. We work with all major insurance providers. Batt & Stevens Body Shop, the home team when your car takes a hit. Visit us at batandstevens.com or call 419-497-3111. Nestled in the heart of Sherwood, Ohio, Crystal Fountain Park invites you to say I do, in a place where history whispers around every corner. Surrounded by 28 acres of woods, meadows, illuminated trails, outdoor chapels, a tranquil reflection pond, and fire pit lounges. Whether planning a wedding, rehearsal dinner, or elegant gathering, Crystal Fountain Park blends historic elegance with modern flexibility and heartfelt service. Visit crystalfountainpark.com or call 419-576-1910 today to book your unforgettable moment.
RE/MAX Realty of Defiance has represented Defiance County for nearly 40 years. Located at 1401 South Jefferson Avenue in Defiance, we have 13 agents ready and available to assist you in home buying or selling needs. You can check out all the listings at www.remax419.com or call us at 419-784-3029. Let our years of experience go to work for you. The Drop Zone Pizzeria is the #1 voted pizza restaurant in the region. Check them out for pizza, wings, subs, and more. Located in Ayersville and Stryker, or ask them about their traveling food trailer.
Experience award-winning care at Defiance Chiropractic Center, voted first place in the Crescent News Reader's Choice Awards Best of the Region. We offer chiropractic adjustments, acupuncture, DOT and sports physicals, and personalized wellness plans. Located at 1770 Jefferson Avenue in Defiance. Call 419-784-2300 today and feel your best naturally.
Check out Tenora Rams Live. Live events broadcast on YouTube and post-game results, articles, schedules, and more can all be found on tenorarams.com. Feel free to look up their Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram pages as well.
Welcome back to the NWO Sports Podcast, and we are on to the best section of the podcast, and that's the hot takes presented by BSN Sports. So got a lot of good ones this week, and we're going to get into things right away. So first hot take, kind of a discussion, but Fairview's Logan Olinger at wide receiver is the best in all the leagues. There's a lot of good wide receivers in the area. You know, sure. I kind of listed some here. You know, you got Logan Olinger from Fairview, Patrick Henry Reed Krieger, Archibald Morgan Harris, Paulding Jordan Mans, and Jalen Mans. And then you got Blake Roanhouse. Eden, you have Kendall Briggle, Edgerton Carter Gibson, Columbus Grove, Trevin Baxter, Lipsick Avery Paris, and then I even kind of threw Liberty Center tight end Jackson Lonazak as well. I mean, his stats aren't maybe as great as some of the others, but man, that kid's athletic too. But I'll let you guys kick it off. Who do you think is maybe one of the top wideouts in all of Northwest Ohio? Bold statement.
Yeah, it's. Olinger's great. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's got speed. He's an athlete. I mean, he put it on Sonora and had a great game against Sonora, but didn't play so well against Paulding. And they schemed him, no doubt about it. I'm guarantee they had people all double covering him and all the time. But still a fantastic athlete. But I mean, to me, when I look at stats and that kind of stuff, you got to look at who they played. Who are their games against? If they're looking at stats and they're like, they put up 500 yards, but who were the teams they played? And for me, I'm looking at Lipsick's Avery Paris. Yep. He's at 664 receiving yards, 8 touchdowns. That's not shabby, not shabby at all.
No, he actually stole my guy. Lipsick has a high-flying offense with Kirkendall at quarterback, Marquise Williams, their running back, and Avery Paris out there. They're unstoppable. But I think you said a lot, too. Logan Olinger, coach. I mean, we saw him in person. I saw him against Paulding when I went back and rewatched this game. And you're right, they schemed to take him out of the game Friday night. But overall, I mean, boy, this kid just gives 110% out there. He's just tough. He's been tough for the last 2 years. Yeah, I mean, go last year and this year. And I think he's just a junior, Logan.
Yes.
So he has
first team All Ohio as a sophomore
too.
Year
of football left, but I mean, for me, Logan Olinger, it's this guy. You got to be special, and I mean, he's a special kid. And for me, if I had to take anybody out of this group, I would take Logan, and there wouldn't even be no second thought about it. So Logan Olinger for me.
Yep. Yeah, and I think I agree. Logan Olinger's he's very special. I said that last year watching him as a sophomore, and I had a chance to go watch him play. Obviously against Tenora, and then go watch him again play Fairview against Ottawa Hills at the playoffs game. Yep. And very special player. I mean, he made a diving catch. Made plays all over the field. He's just very athletic, and I was saying it last year. This kid's very, very special, and Fairview's lucky to have him. Not only does he do a great job at catching the ball, but you see he's got some carries in there too. 5 rushing touchdowns. So, very versatile. They can get at the ball in his hands and multiple different ways, and that just adds another aspect to the game that teams have to scheme for. Is not only him running routes, but they can get him involved in the run game too. And that very heady play that we saw him have against the Rams, where he was kind of bottled up at the line. Yeah, really. He fourth and inches, made something out of nothing. I mean, it was a botched play. So.
Yeah. So you can't teach instinct, and he just bounced that outside and to the house he went. So
and all these receivers are great.
Oh, they are.
I think Logan Olinger's probably leading the pack. Jalen Mans making his name really recognized after last week and his athleticism. His brother, Jordan Mans actually has more or better stats than he does, and then Blake Roanhouse over there in Paulding. But another kid that I want to talk about too is Columbus Grove Trevin Baxter. He may not have as many receptions and, as many stats as some of the other players. But, Columbus Grove's kind of hitting the stretch here. They played some tough teams to start. But this is by far the most physical wide receiver on the list, and maybe one of the most physical players in all of Northwest Ohio. I don't care what position group. This kid is physical. And the thing that I like about him, he's got 4 receiving touchdowns, and he's got 378 receiving yards. Is this kid is not afraid to get out and block on the outside, which is huge. I watched some of his highlight film, and I showed it to you guys a couple of weeks ago. And, I like to share information about kids, but I don't share everyone's, because if I share everyone's, that no one would be able to see content on NWO Sports. But this one deserved a share. I mean, if your highlight film is really, really good, I have no problem sharing it. And just the sheer effort that he puts into every single play. He does not take a play off. And I think that says a lot about a football player and a lot about a wide receiver. Yep. And he's one that really impresses me. You know, if he were to have as many receptions as Logan Olinger, I mean, I think no doubt in my mind, I mean, he would be jumping off the radar on a lot of schools, you know, even getting recruited for colleges. But, you know, I just love the way this kid plays. And, you know, he's someone that I really think highly of this list just because of the physicality, and he does things the right way. And I think in today's day and age, you know, it's a conversation we have, I feel like, every week. You know, you maybe don't see as many kids being as physical as they used to be. So, you know, it's a rarity to see someone who, you know, gets out there and blocks, you know, even though they're not getting the football. Right. And, you know, they go till the end of the whistle. And, I mean, he checks off the boxes on every single one of those. So he's just another one I really like too. But in terms of best wide receiver, and you look at athleticism and everything, I think it probably goes to Logan Olinger. And like I said, all these receivers are tremendous. But, you know, I just want to talk about Trevin Baxter, too, from Columbus Grove a little bit. All right. Guys, we're on to the next one. And this one was very thought out, to say the least.
Absolutely.
So, talking a little bit about football in general in Northwest Ohio. So, I'm just going to read this off real quick, and then we're going to have a good conversation. That's for sure. So, this one starts out. Football has gotten weaker, softer, and worse with the introduction of, number 1, added divisions. Number 2, expanding playoffs. Number 3, too much football. Too many weeks of involvement in a 12-month calendar. Number 4, spring football is stupid and unnecessary. Number 5, allowing poor/mediocre teams to gain playoff berths. And some teams that get in are embarrassing. And then they gave some fixes. The first one is to go back to a 4-8 team regional. The next one is to consolidate back to 6 divisions, if not 5. The next one is find a better way than playing 17 consecutive weeks of football for the state champ. 2 weeks, they're recommending 2 weeks dark for everybody. Shut the school down for 2 weeks in July so kids can do something else other than athletics. This goes for all sports. And we are asking way too much from today's students, and they are walking away from the game. Less is more. The money grabbing by the OHSAA is out of hand. Kids are losing interest. Look at roster sizes and competitiveness of so many programs. We need bigger, more significant reforms. Back to the future. So,
a lot of stuff there done.
A lot there, yeah. A lot there to.
Who wants to kick this one off? I mean, we don't have to cover everything, but just I think it sparks a good conversation about the state of football and high school overall in the state of Ohio.
17 weeks, I think, is getting a little ridiculous. I do agree with that part. Playing 17 weeks in high school is, you know, getting a little bit. I mean, you're getting up to the pro level. That's where, you know, and you're asking these kids to do this, and they're young bodies, and they're getting beat up, and
colleges don't even play 17 weeks.
Yeah, and it just it gets tiring for everybody in the school, and I mean, just everything. So that's number one for me. The 2 dark weeks for everybody to shut the school down in July. I'm telling you right now, that needs to happen.
Absolutely.
That's one statement I agree.
1,000%.
That is one thing that needs to happen. You're asking these kids, and you know, volleyball starts right away, and they're going all summer long with open gyms and everything, and you know, and then they're, you know, for me, you know, we're done with softball in June, and you know, we do a few summer games and just kind of get a look at the freshmen coming in, and that's it for us. We don't do anything after that until, you know, the fall. I give them time off to go play the other sports, and but man, I tell you, these kids just get burnt out. It's round the clock for some of these kids. They're playing basketball during the summer, or they're playing volleyball during the summer, and the coaches are requesting them to be at open gyms, and if you don't show up, you're not playing for me. That kind of stuff. It's got to stop.
I think
got to stop.
I think sports today are more demanding now than they ever have been.
Absolutely.
And I'm gonna one up that. I'm gonna say I think there should be 3 weeks. I know Tenor I think already does 1 week for sure.
Yep.
But you know, at least 3 weeks. I think, you know, just for people to relax. You know, not necessarily to lay around, but you know, relax, enjoy stuff. You know,
there's still
family
kids. Vacation or something.
Go on a vacation. You know, you can go work out and stuff. But and that even, you know, includes. Just because you're off of school athletics, that doesn't mean go out and play club or, you know, travel leagues. Absolutely. Like shut down all things sports. You know, you can continue to work out, stay in shape, obviously, but, you know, just get your mind off things, because I think every sport is so demanding now. It just burns kids out because it is. It's a year-round thing. And I think, you know, we've talked about it before too. I think back in the day, you said they never had like sports in the summer like they do now. Like
not travel ball.
I mean, I remember when I was in high school, I played baseball, basketball, football, but there were days in the summer, and you know, I enjoyed doing it. But you know, you go from in the morning, I'd have a football workout, and then you'd go have a basketball practice, and then you'd have a baseball game in the afternoon. That was all in one day. And that was a couple days during the week, you know, on top of, attending whatever practices were going on. You just didn't have all 3 in one day, but that's 3 sports in one day that you're attending. And it's crazy. And, it's not every kid can handle that. So, I mean, I think that's a big part of it too. So.
Yeah. I mean, for me, a couple bulletin points here. All these are fantastic. Like whoever did this, which I think we know, but this here is a model that should be taken and sent to the state. Because there's a lot of good points in here. Like spring football is, I'm just going to read this. This is not me. Spring football is stupid and unnecessary. Yeah, I mean,
at the high school level,
at the high school level, yes. I mean,
college is different, but
you have track, you have softball, you have baseball going on. I mean, you have, if you want to work on your football, go lift weights or something like that. Like if you don't play spring sports, that's fine. Just go lift weights, get ready for next year. But for those that do, as Tony said, and Logan as well, like when we were, I mean, obviously I'm in my 50s and I graduated in 87 and coach wasn't too far behind. But back then, like when we were in sports, like we were done by the middle or end of June and you had all summer up until August.
Yeah.
And really you didn't see anybody from school.
Yeah.
Except for, a couple friends in your neighborhood or whatever. And
you played in the backyard.
Right, playing in the backyard, right. You get out there and play some sports. But outside of that, now you got, as you said, I think once the club scene took over, like your all-star baseball teams, your summer basketball, they started it was probably for fun. And then once somebody saw, hey, I'm going to get my hand in the little, the golden pot here, and it all comes down to the almighty dollar, I think, is the bottom line about most of this, just to be open about it. I think that's what it all is. Like everybody wants to get their hand on the golden goose and, hey, I'm going to make some money during the summertime and get a team together. But in the end, I think you're just hurting the kids because you guys pointed it out very well. You just get burnt out. Like you said, Logan, you got 3 sports in one day. I mean, that's just crazy.
Yeah,
going back to
for fun and to go hang out with your kids and go watch a movie and just go do dumb stuff that you can't do during the school year and you don't have time to do it.
Yeah, going back to the football part of this thing, I do agree with part number 5, allowing poor and mediocre teams to gain playoff berths. The teams that are sub 500 should not be in the playoffs.
No, not at all.
Period.
Yep.
If you don't have 5 wins, if you're not 500 for the season, then you shouldn't be in the playoffs at all. And because I don't know doing the math what the odds are to if you would win a game, but I'm sure it's probably very, 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 very slim.
You have a couple outliers like Delphos St. John's last year that was like 3-7, but then they made it to like the regional final or something. I mean,
you're going to have one team, but that I agree with that. Now going back to the 4 to 8 team regionals, that makes it tough to get in.
It does.
It makes it really tough to get in. And I like the fact that you let some other teams get in, but you end up with teams just getting crushed.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think, I was glad to see, the OHSAA reduce it down to 12 this year. I think anywhere from 8 to 12 is solid. 16, way too many. And we saw that last year.
Yep.
8, I wouldn't mind 8. I wouldn't be opposed to it because, remember back when I was playing too, and I hate to be cliche with it because I feel like everyone's, back in my day.
Back in my day, guy.
But I mean, to make playoffs was tough.
Yes.
Like my freshman year, AJ's senior year, I think we went 8-2 and we missed out on the playoffs, and it's tough. I mean, it was tough. And, to make the playoffs, that was such an awesome feeling. Now I just feel like it's almost taken for granted.
It is, absolutely.
It's almost kind of like that participation. Oh, you had a halfway decent season, so let's give you a bit into the playoffs.
Yeah.
But
and let's have you travel all the way over to Cleveland and get stomped.
Right.
4-hour bus trip to lose 42-0.
Yeah.
But expanding the playoffs, I don't think you should do. I think the answer is finding a better way than playing 17 consecutive weeks of football. I think you still need the 2 scrimmages. I think those are very beneficial for teams. I think it's got to come from the playoffs. I think 10 regular season games is good. It gives you an opportunity for most teams, not all teams, but to play 7 league games.
Yep.
And then you get 3 non-conference.
Yep.
And then You reduce it to maybe 14 weeks. So you cut one game out. That would kind of help there. But I definitely don't think you cut the scrimmages out, because I think those two scrimmages are so valuable to developing early in the season. It gives you a chance to try some things out. So I don't think you cut it away from there. I think you cut it away from playoffs. What about the added divisions, number one?
Again, it's one of those things where this leads me to the other topic with the OHSAA money grab. You expand the divisions, you put more divisions in, so you have more games, you have more playoffs, you collect more money.
Yep.
To me, that's the only reason you did that.
I think, and this is going to be unpopular for people, but my mind was totally changed. And for those listening, the interview with the media and relations director, Tim Street from the OHSAA in Black Swamp, was probably one of the best interviews I've ever listened to. To hear Tim Street talk about what the rationale is behind the OHSAA, because I'm going to be honest, I totally thought everything was a money grab and they wanted money and this and that, and it was all about money. But when you hear him talk, I mean, it does open your eyes, because at the collegiate level, for example, Ohio State Buckeyes, their football program supplies the money to help all the other athletics and all the other programs, have tournament runs and help to pay for them, because without that, they would not, because they lose money on all that. And that's basically what he was talking about. And I'm sure they still make, some good money, but that money goes to provide for all the other athletics. And, because, people forget, HSA has hockey and all these other sports and lacrosse and, things that you don't think about. And
non-revenue sports, basically.
Non-revenue sports. And I'm pretty sure, your bigger sports like baseball, I don't even know if baseball really makes that much money. Like your money maker is always football, but it helps to
basketball,
and it helps to provide for everything else. And just, if you listen to that interview, it made a lot of sense. And I thought Tim did a phenomenal job and opened my eyes up, because I was kind of on board a little bit with everyone else. Like, why are they expanding? And, maybe some things I disagree with, making tickets, prices more expensive, because, economy's tough right now. And we had a guy from Archbold. We went to that playoff game a couple years ago, and he was talking about how he brought his 4 kids.
I remember that. Yeah.
To bring 4 kids himself, and to buy maybe just a drink and one snack from the concessions, and he was like already up to $150 to go out for a Friday night to just take his boys to a local playoff football game. So that I don't necessarily agree with, but I get where the OHSAA is coming from, because they got to try to run things for all the other athletics too. Right. But that's kind of what I thought of that. But
good topic.
Yeah,
very good.
Biggest take is I think there does need to be some changes, and this was a very, very good points that were brought up. Some of them, or most of them, I think we agreed with. We viewed a little bit different, but I think the big thing is in the summer is taking that time off and kind of regrouping and just enjoying life a little bit. Things are tough nowadays, and sometimes you just need that time off to truly
just be a kid. Like kids, I don't think can just relax and be kids anymore. They want to be. Trust me, kids, you want to be a kid forever. You don't ever want to grow up.
Right.
It's like you're 17-year-olds in high school almost now seem like they're 22-year-old college kids. They just don't have time to be a kid anymore. So.
All right. Well, yeah, that was a great hot take. So we got a couple others. So we'll keep things rolling, because we could talk about that one all day. Yeah. The next one, and this is kind of a fun one, but match the high school conference with the college conference. And this was submitted by one of our fans. They were saying the GMC is equal to the MAC, the NWOAL is equal to the Big 10, the WBL is the Big 12, and the NLL is the ACC. So I'll kick this one off. So I think the GMC is more the Big 12. It's kind of wide open. Obviously Paulding's taking the lead, but high scoring matchups you see. Edgerton dropped a bunch of points the other week. Wayne Trace dropped a bunch. Very high scoring, but plenty of excitement, and unpredictability is the big one. I look at the NWAL, and I thought this was kind of more towards Big 10. NWAL and the Big 10, very rich traditions, physical, competitive year in and year out. I think that fits the NWAL to a T. WBL, I guess I kind of threw them at the SEC. They typically are always fairly deep, but they're known to be tough, and their programs are typically consistent as well across the board. NLL, I kind of threw in as the ACC. They have some really talented teams with flashes of some really elite play, but they tend to have some more top-heavy teams in the competition. And then the TAC, I said that's kind of more like the MAC. Gritty. They're kind of, some of the teams are under the radar. They battle hard, but they can really surprise you any week. So that's kind of what I thought. What are your guys' thoughts on comparisons of the local conferences?
I don't know. You kind of nailed it, I think. I mean, really, I agree with the NWOAL being like the Big Ten, being smash mouth kind of football.
Yeah.
At least what it used to be. It might be changing now. You got Oregon and Washington and all those guys in there now, and we're throwing the ball a lot more than what we used to do. But so I don't know. I think you got it pretty good.
Keith, any thoughts?
No, I agree with everything you guys said. I mean, this is whoever submitted that. And then Logan did a good job of breaking down his, but I think you nailed everything. Honestly, it's a pretty good job.
That was kind of interesting. I thought, when they submitted it, I'm like, this would be kind of fun to talk about briefly. Not really a hot take, but, kind of cool to draw those comparisons between high school and college. So, all right, the last one, and this is a fun one. Like I said, we always like to keep things light. Welcome to Celebrity Football Draft. Today we're picking the ultimate quarterback wide receiver combo. We've got Hollywood stars, athletes, and we're not going to include active or any kind of football player. Musicians, basically anyone famous enough to make your fantasy football league jealous. Round 1, who's stepping up under center and who's sprinting down the sideline to catch the Hail Mary. So you have to pick one quarterback that's famous, any kind of celebrity, and one wide receiver to catch the football. Keith, who are you picking?
Oh, good Lord. Hey, this could be right in my wheelhouse here. I'm just going to pick my Friday Night Lights guys. Going to pick my quarterback. I got my choice between Matt Saracen, who's played by Zach Gilliford, or Scott Porter, who was the original quarterback. He's Jason Street that got hurt. And then not really a receiver, but my running back, Tim Riggins, played by Taylor Keach. He was going to run through a brick wall. So that's going to be my two combos there. So I got Scott Porter as my quarterback. He's going to throw it down to Taylor Keach, and he will make the catch, and that'll be it. So that's my combo.
Tony, who are you thinking over there?
Man, I don't know. If you want to stick to football, I don't know.
Yeah, this is what popped into my mind because I watched that series about 5 times over.
I think. Boy, I don't know. I'm trying to think. Trying to think of a good quarterback. Maybe Alan Jackson, just because he's so tall.
Really?
Yeah, maybe like an Alan Jackson as a quarterback.
Is Alan Jackson?
Like 6'4" or something like that.
Is he really? Okay,
big guy.
Like that.
Throwing AJ back there under center. Okay.
Yeah.
Country.
And the wide receiver. Man, I don't know. Can I use Michael Irvin since he played in longest yard? Does that count? He was
I don't know. He is a football player.
But goodness gracious.
He's also
that's awesome. I don't.
I don't know. Gosh, I don't know. A good wide receiver.
You got Justin Timberlake out there. You got some Ryan Reynolds.
Could say Kevin Hart. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Wow, good Lord.
A little guy.
A little tiny guy.
Gosh, I don't know. I could have. Yeah, The Rock. Well, I was thinking The Rock. But I don't think he could catch. He's too big. He's too
Cowboy
big.
Troy from Big and Rich.
Oh,
yeah.
He's a big boy.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't really get a receiver.
I'll let you think. I'll say mine. I think at quarterback I got to go with Keanu Reeves.
There we go.
I was thinking that one.
Quarterback in the replacements, or he could double. He'd probably be a solid wide receiver. Pretty athletic. You see him in the John Wick movies, and I like him. But the hard one is I'm trying to figure out who I want at wide receiver. But one name that keeps kind of coming up, and I think I had to look it up. I think he plays defense in the longest yard, the newest one. I think Stone Cold Steve Austin. I want to get the ball in his hands at tight end. Man, that dude's going to be a Mack truck running down the football field with the ball in his hands. So I think of Keanu Reeves to Stone Cold Steve Austin, and I could just see Stone Cold scoring in the end zone and smashing one right over his head.
That's
and
awesome.
that's my combo I'm going with.
Boy, I still can't think of anybody that would be a receiver. Maybe like a Ryan Reynolds. He seems like he could be athletic.
Yeah, he does.
Respectable
there.
But just a fun one that, like I said, I always like to keep it light and
I like those.
create some good conversation.
Those are great.
Yeah, and if you're listening to this, send us a message who your combo would be for quarterback and wide receiver for celebrities. And they can't be former or current football players, but they could be other athletes or Hollywood stars or musicians. But send them in and see who you would go with. All right, so that concludes our hot takes presented by BSN Sports. So we thank them for sponsoring. We're gonna take a break to hear from our sponsors. So we'll be right back with Week 7 game predictions.
BSN Sports is your go-to business for purchasing uniforms, equipment, spiritwear, and anything else your athletic program needs, giving you more time to impact lives on the field. With over 1,200 sales professionals who live, work, and serve in your community, you're always just a short drive or phone call away. Be sure to give your local sales rep and Jim Garris a call for any of your athletic supply needs. Looking for a personalized financial guidance right here in Bryan, Ohio? Meet Melissa R. Stockman, CHFC, a trusted Edward Jones financial advisor. Melissa specializes in retirement savings and income strategies, estate and legacy planning, customizable wealth strategies, insurance and annuities, and support for entrepreneurs and business owners. As a chartered financial consultant, she brings deep expertise and care in building financial plans tailored to your goals. Ready to take your next financial step? Call Melissa's office at 419-633-0647 or visit Edward Jones on 130 North Main Street, Bryan to get started. Titan GPS delivers technological superiority and improved player performance through wearable GPS made for high school football and strength and conditioning programs. From speed training to athlete recruit to workload enhancement, Titan is the easy-to-use yet comprehensive GPS tool to get it done. There's no minimum to get started, and Titan will walk you through every step to success. Message us on X Titan Sensor to learn more and get in touch. Under the lights this Friday night. While your team is taking hits on the field, who's got your back off the field? At Batt & Stevens Body Shop in Defiance, we tackle the toughest repairs, from fender benders to full collision restoration. Our iCar Gold Class team scores big on quality and service. Proudly serving Defiance County for over 40 years, with certified technicians, advanced diagnostics, and lifetime warranties. We work with all major insurance providers. Batt & Stevens Body Shop, the home team when your car takes a hit. Visit us at batandstevens.com or call 419-497-3111. Fitz & Rider HVAC, keeping Northwest Ohio comfortable since 1955. Whether it's scorching summer heat or bitter winter cold, Fitz & Rider has your back with expert heating, cooling, and indoor air quality solutions for your residential and commercial needs. Need fast, reliable service? Call the local pros you can trust. Fitz & Rider HVAC. Give them a call today at 419-784-0828 or visit fitzandriderhvac.com for more info. Northwest Ohio Basketball hosts premier basketball tournaments for boys in grades 3 to 8 in the area. Upcoming tournaments are right around the corner. Give them a call today at 419-283-5296 or check out their website at NWOBball.com. DeLarber Concrete and Hauling is your go-to provider for concrete and hauling needs. Flat work, pole barn floors, driveways, and patios. Hauling services for stone, mulch, and dirt. Call Josh for your free estimate at 419-576-0401. Nestled in the heart of Sherwood, Ohio, Crystal Fountain Park invites you to say I do, in a place where history whispers around every corner. Surrounded by 28 acres of woods, meadows, illuminated trails, outdoor chapels, a tranquil reflection pond, and fire pit lounges. Whether planning a wedding, rehearsal dinner, or elegant gathering, Crystal Fountain Park blends historic elegance with modern flexibility and heartfelt service. Visit crystalfountainpark.com or call 419-576-1910 today to book your unforgettable moment. RE/MAX Realty of Defiance has represented Defiance County for nearly 40 years. Located at 1401 South Jefferson Avenue in Defiance, we have 13 agents ready and available to assist you in home buying or selling needs. You can check out all the listings at www.remax419.com or call us at 419-784-3029. Let our years of experience go to work for you. The Drop Zone Pizzeria is the #1 voted pizza restaurant in the region. Check them out for pizza, wings, subs, and more. Located in Ayersville and Stryker, or ask them about their traveling food trailer. Experience award-winning care at Defiance Chiropractic Center. Voted first place in the Crescent News Reader's Choice Awards Best of the Region. We offer chiropractic adjustments, acupuncture, DOT and sports physicals, and personalized wellness plans. Located at 1770 Jefferson Avenue in Defiance. Call 419-784-2300 today and feel your best naturally. Check out Tenora Rams Live. Live events broadcast on YouTube and post-game results, articles, schedules, and more can all be found on TenoraRams.com.
Feel free to look up their Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram pages as well.
We're back on the NWO Sports Podcast, and we are on to Week 7 game predictions, and we got a lot of good ones this week. So let's get things kicked off. We're looking at the GMC to start. We have Antwerp 2-4 at Fairview 5-1. Fairview's coming off a tough loss to a good Paulding team. I'm going to be curious to see how they bounce back. At least this game's at home, kind of take some pressure off of them. But Antwerp's a team we saw play last week against Tenora. They're not a team that you can take lightly. That first half, they were neck and neck with Tenora. And, really, if Tenora didn't make a couple big plays, I don't know that they open up that game like they did. So the Archers are definitely not a team to mess around with. But I think Fairview bounces back this week at home. And I think they're back on the right track. Give me the Apaches.
Yeah, I think the Coach Rakes guys, his number one thing is to stop Keegan Gray Whitecloth.
Yeah,
because he was
Keegan
just
was
a
beast last week.
Man wrecking crew last week. Goodness gracious!
And I think he's going to get his, his stats when it comes to Friday night's game. But Fairview's going to have their hands full with him. That's for sure.
I think so. But I think Coach Rakes is going to take him out of the game. But the Apaches should win this one pretty handily. So Fairview
for me.
And AJ Matthew had Fairview as well, so Fairview across the board. Next game, Ayersville 0-6 at Hicksville 1-5. Hicksville the last couple of weeks has been on the downslide just a little bit. Been struggling. Trying to see. Last week they ended up losing 21-54 to Wayne Trace. The week before they dropped 13-19 to Antwerp. Just trying to figure things out. On the flip side, though, Ayersville, one of the better 0-6 teams. I mean, I think Ayersville is definitely better than an 0-6 record. Burner's been running the ball really solid. I think this is the week that the Pilots get their first win, and I think they get it done on the road at Hicksville.
I took Ayersville last week, and boy, oh boy, but taking the Pilots again this week. Pilots.
I'm going with Snoopy and the Pilots.
And AJ and Matthew both had Ayersville, so Ayersville from all of us. Next game, Paulding 6-0 at Edgerton 5-1. The biggest GMC matchup this week. And I believe, wasn't it last year Edgerton got Paulding? I think a similar situation. Both teams had pretty solid records, and
that was
Edgerton
at Paulding too last week. I think Edgerton beat them.
Edgerton had the key to it, so I think this one's going to be tight. But I think the Panthers are riding sky high after that win against the Apaches. As long as they don't let it get to their head. There's going to be a lot of points, I think, in this one. With Maddox Baker from Edgerton, he's tearing things up. You have Kellen Sanchez, you have Gibson, and Paulding. I mean, you got all kinds of athletes. The Mans brothers, Blake Roanhouse, Colt Hunt. This one's going to be high scoring, no doubt, but I think Paulding gets it done.
Oh my gosh, guys! In my head, I'm just envisioning this. I mean, Paulding 6-0, Edgerton's 5-1. This is at Edgerton. I'm just imagining this big crowd at this game that's literally going to be standing 3 feet from the sidelines all the way around. I would somebody send in a picture to Logan at the start of this game or midway through the first quarter so we can see the crowd and where they're at as far as in relationship to the field.
Edgerton's one of the best football venues in the area by far.
Like if we didn't have a game Friday night, I would definitely be at this game because just the atmosphere is going to be electric. But I think Edgerton gives them a tough game, but I think Paulding comes away with the dub.
Yeah, I think Paulding too. I just don't think Edgerton can match up enough.
Yep.
And AJ and Matthew both had Paulding as well. Next game, Wayne Trace 2-4 at Tenora 2-4. Wayne Trace really kind of turning some heads the last couple of weeks. They're getting on a roll, couple game win streak. They're going to the Rams. Tenora again kind of struggling this year. Tough non-conference schedule. They dropped to Liberty Center, Otsego, and Archbold. We're competitive in the Archbold game. They lose one to Fairview. I think this one's closer than what people think. I really do. Wayne Trace always has a knack for playing Tenora tough. Last year, Tenora won on a field goal in overtime. Right. I think that was the only points of the game, right?
3-0 in overtime.
3-0 in overtime. I think this one's not too far off that. I think there's more points this year, but I think it's really close. I think it's a couple score game or less, but I'm taking the Rams.
Yeah, the last 2 games in the series have come right down basically to the last play. We had the one 2 years ago at Sonora where we had the little excitement at the end where the interception in the end zone and we flipped the ball to the Wayne Trace. And last year, Jacob with the field goal in OT. But, yeah, I think this is going to be right down to the wire again. And I think the Rams come out on top, though.
I'm taking the Rams.
And AJ and Matthew both had Tenor as well. So Tenor across the board. Next game is going to be our NWO Sports Radio game this week. And I will actually be at this one because Matt is going to Tenora because his son is on the homecoming court. So for some reason, I always miss the Wayne Trace Tenora game too. A couple of years ago, I missed it for a fishing trip. And this year, I'm missing it for other reasons. But I'll be on the broadcast with this one with Tony Crier. But that's Archbold 5-1 at Wauseon 0-6. A little bit of a rivalry game here going on. So Archbold's dominated this game. The last 7 years, I think, is what they've won in a row. So they've really controlled this game. Wauseon trying to figure things out. Again, another team that maybe 0-6 doesn't depict, actually how good they are. They played some teams tough. But I like Archbold. I think the Blue Streaks take care of business. Historically, this game has always been close despite records. But I think Archbold wins by 2 or 3 scores.
Yeah, I think so too, Logan. I think Archbold's kind of like Napoleon. They're just starting to get the train chugging. They're only halfway chugging right now. So I think Archbold wins big.
Streaks for me.
And AJ and Matthew both had Archbold as well. Yeah, especially if they get Ryder Ryan going in that rushing attack. And then you've got your receiver in Harris and Aringer Krieger and Maddox Piner at quarterback. Big they're hard to stop. They're very deep on both sides of the football. Next game, Swanton 0-6 at Bryan 1-5. Like I said earlier, this is a must-win game for Bryan. We saw a pretty good performance out of him last week against Evergreen, throwing up 400 plus yards of offense. Jake Arnold played a really good game at quarterback, and he had an interception on defense. But I think this game being at Bryan, Swanton's trying to rebuild. I think Bryan wins this one big. I think this is where Bryan finally gains some momentum in this season.
Yep, Golden Bears for me.
Bears.
And AJ and Matthew both had Bryan as well. Next game is going to be the NWO Sports Game of the Week, and that's Delta 4-2 at Patrick Henry 5-1. Now, this is a game I thought, again, it was tough, hard, back and forth. I think this game's being played at Patrick Henry. It's a tough environment. The big kicker for me is I'm going to go Patrick Henry. And, is Reed Krieger going to be back? I don't know. That was something I kind of, debated back and forth, because he's a big part of that team, especially with Patrick Henry throwing the football. We know Delta can run the football, but I think where Delta gets in trouble is when they get into those moments where they need to start passing the football. Maybe before half, they need to throw the football, get out of bounds, or, end a game when it's crunch time and you can't have that clock run. I think that's what hurts Delta in those situations. And for that, I think I got to go with Patrick Henry, just a little bit more diverse and dynamic on the offensive side of the football. But I think this one's going to be a battle for sure. 2 of the top Titans in NWOAL. Like I always say, if you want a game to go to, this is going to be it. But I'm going the Patriots.
That could be a game for second place in the conference, guys. I think PH's defense is going to shut down Delta's running game, so I'm taking the Patriots.
Same here, PH.
And AJ had Patrick Henry, and the only one going against the grain is Matthew. He went with the Delta Panthers, so could gain it or lose a game on him. So I'm neck and neck with him in picks, so we'll see how that pays out. Next game, Liberty Center 6-0 at Evergreen 5-1. Man, I hate to say it. Evergreen is having a great year once again. They're tearing things up, 5-1. But I think Liberty Center is going to come into town and rain on their parade, unfortunately. LC is just another beast and another category, and I think they put a running clock on as soon as the second half starts. So give me Liberty Center.
Yeah, hopefully Evergreen, like the town of Evergreen, hopefully show up and
Metamora, right?
Yeah,
Metamora.
Everybody from the high school and the town, get on out, support the Vikes. But I think Tigers are too much, so take an LC.
Coach Coles, too, I just want to say, too, has done a terrific job at picking things up. Again, this kind of revolving door almost there over at Evergreen.
Unfortunately.
And, a lot of inconsistency, in terms of, head coaches, but he's done a terrific job, again, with the kids, picking up right where Coach Bach left off. And it's great to see for the Vikings, but
LC for me.
And Matthew and AJ both had Liberty Center as well. Next game, Eden 5-1 at Whiteford, Michigan 4-1. I know Eden's 5-1, but Tony brought up the question, kind of like what we were talking about with Paulding. Has Eden been tested this year? And to this point, I don't know that they really have. The toughest opponent that they've played is Edgerton, and it ended up in a loss. Whiteford, Michigan on the flip side, they're 4-1. We've just seen them basically wipe away everyone in the TAC conference. Coach Teeks has developed a really good program up there in Whiteford. I think Whiteford, unfortunately for the Bombers, takes this one and they win big.
Yeah, I took Montpelier against Whiteford last week, and that kind of bit me. So I think Whiteford takes this one.
Whiteford for me.
And AJ and Matthew both had Whiteford as well. Next game, Hilltop 2-4 at Summerfield, Michigan 3-2. Another one that is kind of an intriguing matchup. I had to do a little bit of research on Summerfield, Michigan. Again, these Michigan schools are hard to kind of track for us. I think I'm going to go with Hilltop in this one. I kind of looked, at Matthew's pick a little bit and saw what the heck. He's the only one that's kind of going against us, and I had to do a little bit more research because I can't let him gain a game on me. So the Cadets are playing probably the best football they've played in the last couple of years. 2 wins already this part of the season. And I kind of did some comparisons. Summerfield, Michigan only beat North Central a little bit, and North Central's down this year. But I'm taking Hilltop Cadets. I think they get it done on Friday night.
I'm taking Summerfield, who I know nothing about.
I'm taking Summerfield because they're playing at home.
And AJ had Summerfield and Matthew had Hilltop. Next game, Ottawa Hills 2-4 at Montpelier 3-3. Another tough matchup. Ottawa Hills is definitely down this year. Another thing too with the Whiteford matchup, Rocco Pillarelli is active for that game.
Oh, is
so
he? Did he? I'll be darned.
Yeah, the Michigan, whatever, their athletic association, granted him ability to play on Friday night against Eden. So that's going to make a big difference in that game too.
Yes.
But anyways, Ottawa Hills lost him. So, a big contributor last year playing Montpelier. But anyways, Ottawa Hills has been up and down and all around. Montpelier, this game's home for them. Coming off a tough loss to Whiteford, Michigan. I think this is a must win for the Locomotives and Coach Robinson. They're kind of on the brink of, where are we going to go with this season? And this would be a big time win. To put them over 500. So give me the Locomotives.
Locos for me.
Locos for me.
And AJ and Matthew both had Montpelier as well. Next game, North Central 1-5 at Erie Mason, Michigan 0-5. I think with this one, North Central, they got a win under their belt. They kind of got that taste in their mouth, what it takes to get it done. Erie Mason has 0 wins on the season. I think I'm taking North Central in this matchup.
Yep, same here. North Central.
Same here.
And Matthew and AJ had North Central. Next game, Columbus Grove 3-3 at Fort Loramie 1-5. Columbus Grove's on a hot streak. They've kind of run to a little bit easier portion of their schedule. They're playing some of the better football. They're kind of working out those kinks. I think they're right where they want to be after starting the season 0-3. Landon Best coming off probably the best performance of the year. I think he had 5 touchdown passes. Baxter at wide receiver, Gavin Barraza. We've got a whole slew of athletes. They're finally starting to connect the dots on everything, and I think they take care of business again. I think this game, again, is another game that they're probably up 40 points at halftime. Would not surprise me. I'm going Bulldogs.
Dogs for me.
Dogs.
And AJ and Matthew both had Columbus Grove as well. Next game, Lipsick 6-0 at Macomb 3-3. This could be a tough matchup. Macomb is always a tough opponent to play. This game's on the road for Lipsick. Could it be the week that Lipsick takes their first loss? Maybe close, but I think that Coach Kirkendall and the boys there, I think they get it done. I'm taking the Vikings.
Vikings for me too.
Lipsick.
And Matthew and AJ both had Lipsick. When you got athletes like Williams and Mark Kirkendall at quarterback and Avery Paris, those guys are tough to stop. So I'll be curious to see how this one plays out. Next game, some WBL action. Defiance 2-4 at Kenton 1-5. Defiance, again, coming off a tough couple losses, this game being on the road at Kenton. I will say, Kenton, from what I've heard, is a little bit improved. They're not one to mess around with, but I think this is the week Defiance gets back on track. I think they run the football well. I think Camaso and Gibbs have a huge night, and I think the Bulldogs come up with a win.
Yep, Dogs for me.
Defiance for me.
And AJ and Matthew both had Defiance as well. Next game, Lima Bath 5-1 at Ottawa Glandorf 0-6. Bath is playing some really good football this year, trying to contend towards the top of the WBL. Ottawa Glandorf just continues to struggle this year. They just last couple of years have had a hard time trying to figure some things out, but I think Lima Bath gets it done.
Bath
for me.
And AJ and Matthew had Bath as well. Next game, Van Wert at St. Mary's 3-3. This is a good matchup. This would be another good game to go to for sure. But this game being at St. Mary's, you're going to get a physical team out of them. And, they've had some solid performances. Just kind of did a little bit of comparison between St. Mary's and Defiance and Van Wert and Defiance. And St. Mary's, dominated the Bulldogs. I think because of that, just seeing what similar opponents they played and how they handled them, I think I'm taking St. Mary's.
Yeah, I like this. I like this matchup. Taking St. Mary's, though.
St. Mary's for me.
And AJ and Matthew. AJ had to St. Mary's, but Matthew went Van Wert. So Matthew went the Cougars. Last 11-man game, Springfield 3-3 at Napoleon 4-2. This game being at Napoleon, the Wildcats are playing the best football they've played all season long, which is what you want to be doing at this point in the season, getting ready for playoffs. I think Napoleon wins this one. I think they win by 14 to 21 points.
Yep, Cats for me.
Yep, Wildcats.
And AJ and Matthew both had Napoleon as well. A couple 8-man games on the slate here. Cardinal Stritch 0-6 at Holgate 3-2. Cardinal Stritch, struggled to get in the win column this season, and Holgate, they've got 3 wins under their belt. I think the Tigers get it done. Give me Holgate.
Holgate.
And Matthew and AJ both had Holgate. Last game, St. Joseph Central Catholic 4-2 at Stryker 2-4. Stryker had a record-breaking performance last week. I don't know that it's going to happen this week on any terms. St. Joseph Central Catholic is tough, and I think they go into Stryker and they get the win. So give me St. Joe.
St. Joe for me.
St. Joe for me.
And Matthew had St. Joe, but AJ's a man of the people at Stryker. AJ's going Stryker, so cannot pick against Stryker. One of these weeks we'll see him wear a shirt, and we'll have to get him on camera. So, but that concludes our Week 7 game prediction, guys. Closing thoughts.
Oh, just another beautiful night. That's the weather. If you haven't been out to a game, get out, because you're not going to have weather like this, like we've had so far this season. So it's going to start dropping off, I feel.
For me, interesting to see. Like we said, we're closing the final third of the season here. We got Archibald starting to roll, Napoleon starting to roll, Paulding to see where they wind up. I mean, they still got a couple big games left. See how Fairview responds from a big loss last week. Lipsick, interested in seeing what they do the rest of the year. So still a lot of football left. So
yeah, and for me, Keith, you had kind of touched on some of those teams that I've been keeping my eye on too. Columbus Grove, another big one. They've got a tough schedule coming down the stretch. Lima Central Catholic, Bluffton, and Crestview. Yeah. 3 really tough teams in the NWC conference. I know we don't cover the conference, but there's some great football there. So curious to see how they do. And so again, like I said, it's do or die time now, especially for points. If you can win some of these big time games, that's going to help propel you in that top half of the rankings for the region. And, that pays off for home games now. Definitely. I mean, I cannot tell you how big it is to get in that top half and get home games for, what is it, the first 2 or 3 weeks?
2 for sure. I don't know if it's 3.
And you get a bye.
And you get a bye if you're top 4.
Which I don't know how. Well, we saw the college football playoffs last year.
High school is probably a little different, I'm guessing.
The bye plays out, but I guess we'll find out this year. But definitely want those home games in the playoffs. But other than that, I've got nothing. So we'd like to thank all of our sponsors: BSN Sports, Bat & Stevens Body Shop, Titan Sports, Fitz & Ryder, Edward Jones and Melissa Stockman, DeLarber Concrete and Hauling, Crystal Fountain Park, Defiance Chiropractic Center, Northwest Ohio Basketball, Remax Realty and Matt Yost, Tenor Rams Live, and the Drop Zone Pizzeria. I'd like to also give a special thanks to Defiance Chiropractic for allowing us to use their facility for the podcast. So stay tuned for the next NWO Sports Podcast in the near future, and thanks for watching.